Hi everyone, welcome to this Noddy Networker video on how to use an iCalendar feed to import content into the Aruba Meridian solution. The Meridian editor can be configured to import pages, place marks and events into your Meridian-based app. It supports three main types of import feeds: RSS feeds from news-based systems, iCalendar feeds from calendar-based systems, and XML and JSON feeds from web or application servers. This video will look at using iCalendar feeds, though look out for the other Noddy Networker videos covering the other feed types. Note that iCalendar feeds can only be used to import Meridian events. There are many advantages of using feeds to import content into Meridian. Bulk content can be quickly imported into the Meridian system. Content and changes are automatically synchronized with the external systems. The different types of content and feeds can be seamlessly aggregated in the Meridian system. And there are even some management and security advantages by separating the content creation from the content management. We've looked at why you'd want to use a content feed. Now let's run through how to configure one in Meridian. The first step is to generate an iCal formatted file as the feed source. This can be done in various ways. Often you can export an ICS file from your personal calendar application, such as MS Outlook. Or you could use one of the many freeware applications that will generate an iCal file directly. Lastly, you can use a simple text editor to manually create an ICS file, or in fact edit an existing one. This is the iCalendar feed file we'll use in this video to import an event into the Meridian system. Whilst the iCalendar file format is not explicitly explained in this video, we will take a quick look at the major structure and highlight the fields important to Meridian event import. If we take a look at our file, we can see that there is an outer vCalendar item defined, that's shown in blue. There's actually little information used in this item by Meridian, except for extracting the feed name itself. Within the calendar item can be multiple other embedded items. In our case, we have a single vEvent item defined that's highlighted in blue. This vEvent item is what the Meridian feed parser will use to extract the event information from. You will see the most important fields in the item are highlighted in yellow. After importing this file into Meridian, it will create a calendar event that can be displayed in our sample application as shown on the right hand side of the screen. As illustrated, the composition of the display can be directly mapped to the iCalendar event item fields that were imported. We have our iCalendar feed file, so now we need to make sure it is hosted on the internet at a location reachable by the Meridian cloud system. So let's go to the web server hosting our iCalendar example feed file. In this instance, it's Microsoft IIS. And if we take a look, this is our example feed file. It's called icalevents.ics. Now, we can validate the contents of that file by using an online validation tool. In this site, we simply enter the URL of our sample iCalendar file. We hit the validate button, and it's going to check the content and the syntax of the file. In this case, it comes back with a success and no errors found can look at the data itself of our file, and here is our sample iCalendar file that we saw earlier. So we have created our iCalendar file, we have hosted it on a public web server, and we've checked that the file format is valid. Now we can configure the Meridian editor to use the file as an iCalendar event feed. Let's log on to the Meridian editor. And choose our sample application. Firstly, let's select the Events tab. You can see that there are no events in the system at the moment. I'm going to select the Events Feeds option. And again, currently no feeds defined in our Meridian app. Add our first event feed. We can configure our event feed. I'm going to select a custom type. You can leave the title as that will be added via the feed itself. To add the URL of our iCalendar feed file, set the format to iCalendar and set the import frequency. We'll set it to once an hour initially. Having configured our event feed, next we simply have to select the Save and Import button and then check for any errors. Save and import. And you can see that the Meridian system is indicating that it is importing events, and it's telling us that the feed mapper will be available when the feed is actually finished importing. If we check and refresh the event feeds, we can now see that this is our feed that's been added. It has pulled the title for the feed from the feed itself, and this is our feed file. See that it's imported one event. If we look at the event feed logs, we can see that it successfully imported one event, and that was a minute ago, with no errors. Before we can modify the field mappings, we need to wait until the import feed parser fully completes. This can initially be quite some time. It is completed when the mapping table computed from the feed is visible at the bottom of the feed edit screen. This screen shows the computed mapping between the iCalendar item fields and the Meridian event fields. Let's go to our mobile device and we'll open App Viewer and our sample application. Here's our sample application, and we'll choose the Events option. And you can see that we have one event that has been imported from our calendar feed, and that's our iCalendar show. So if we select that event, and there are the details that were imported via the feed. We can see that the date is the 29th to the 30th of September, has a title, iCalendar show, and there's a description at the bottom. There's also a website, a URL, and if we select the URL, we can see that it's going to take us off to, in fact, the HPE website. Okay, there are a couple of things to note on this display. One is that there is no image attached to this event, and secondly, there is no location to show where the event is being held. Typically, we would expect to see a place mark to provide wayfinding directions to the event location. Let's look at how we could correct these omissions in our imported event by modifying the import feed mappings and then re-importing the event again. These are the mappings we will use to modify the iCalendar feed to provide the optimum information into the Meridian events. You will notice that most of the mapping remains at default. The main difference is the usage of the iCalendar categories field for the Meridian placemark. This is because the placemark has to be of a specific field type, a list. We then map the iCalendar class field as the Meridian category field, and also make sure that the image URL is mapped to the iCalendar image field. So we select the event feed editor. We'll modify the various fields now. So image URL, make sure it's set to iCalendar image. Meridian categories needs to be set to iCalendar class, and Meridian placemarks is set to iCalendar categories. So there's our recommended mappings. Now we check that those modified mappings behave as we expect. And we now save and import the event again. There we go. We see that's imported our one event again. We look at the event. Here's our event that we've just imported. Take a look. And this time we see that the location has now been set to a Meridian placemark. The rest of the information is pretty much as before, although the categories has changed now to the iCalendar content category. The only thing that's not showing up is our image, and that's because the Meridian system can take up to an hour to synchronize and download the image. So we're going to have to wait a short while for the image to get imported into the Meridian system and then displayed in our event. Let's open our app on a mobile device. Open events, and there's our imported iCalendar show event. Take a look at it. This time looks a little bit different. We've got the extra options for the placemark. And if we want to view the location of the event on the map, it shows us where it will be. Okay, notice we still don't have the image at the top, but again we'll need to wait a short while for that to be imported into the Meridian backend. And here we have the application sometime later. We'll check the events again. And now we can see that the iCalendar show event is already displaying its icon. And if we go into the event itself, we now have the image displayed at the top, plus all the other information that was imported at the same time. That concludes this Noddy Networker video, where we've shown you how to import a single event into the Meridian system using an iCalendar feed. Obviously, our feed file could contain tens or even hundreds of event items in it, and they could have been imported and populated the system in a single operation. Furthermore, if any calendar entry in the iCalendar feed file is changed, then that change can be automatically propagated to the Meridian-based app. Thank you for watching this Noddy Networker video. Till the next time, bye for now.